On a freezing hillside close to the top of the world, one of the cleanest power stations in operation provides heat and power to a cold country cheaply. Iceland taps geothermal energy, hot rocks underground turning water into high-pressure steam. Turbines like these have been providing electricity to Iceland for decades. It's the kind of power source most countries can only dream about. With some of the world's oil valves in the hands of unstable governments and regular talk of impending supply problems, alternative energy is becoming increasingly attractive. Not only that, but as technology advances, our ability to use non-conventional forms of energy also improves. Because of its geothermal and hydroelectric potential, Iceland is a testing ground for one particular type of energy, hydrogen power. The results are good, and this isolated island hopes eventually to end its reliance on imported fossil fuels. On the outskirts of the capital, Reykjavik, they're constructing a gas station for road vehicles. In the first instance, public buses. But the gas won't be petrol. The vehicles will fill up on hydrogen. The Icelandic government says it wants to do away with petroleum and diesel fuel within 30 years. When this filling station opens later in 2003, Reykjavik will start using new city buses running entirely on hydrogen. The hydrogen will be produced on site using the geothermal energy underneath it. It's mostly the project of this man. He's known locally as Professor Hydrogen.
Here we have an electric bulb representing the sun. This is photovoltaic devices converting the solar radiation into electricity.
Although in this instance, Professor Bragni Arnason demonstrates how solar power can produce electricity, in Iceland, geothermal energy and rivers are used. The electricity is used to split water into oxygen and hydrogen. The latter can then be passed through a vehicle's fuel cell, which acts like a battery to produce electric power, but unlike a battery, doesn't run out. Cheap geothermal energy and hydroelectricity make the project feasible.
If our plans can be realized, maybe in 30 years or so, then we will be totally independent of energy import, fossil import, and Iceland will be a country. We will have converted Iceland into a country where all our energy consumed come from domestic renewable energy sources. And that would mean that the greenhouse gas emission in Iceland would drop down to 45% of the present. So that time, when it is so far, we will have not to worry about the Kyoto Protocol.
Most other countries don't possess Iceland's energy reserves, and anyway have much bigger populations. So industrialized nations are spending time and money developing other options for energy production. But Iceland's development of hydrogen power technology could help the rest of the world as it tries to move away from fossil fuels.
Because of our energy sources, hydropower and geothermal energy, we don't have to wait 20, 30 years for the solar energy. We can start the conversion into the hydrogen economy now. And I think that the interest in the world in what we are doing here in Iceland is that we are a small society, but we are a real society. So Iceland is obviously an ideal pilot country to start this transformation into hydrogen energy.
Being small and rich is an obvious benefit. Iceland could probably not only produce enough hydrogen for domestic use, but also a surplus for export. The United States is also looking at alternative energy, and President Bush supports the development of hydrogen technology. Because of the problems associated with dependency on foreign oil, he wants Congress to approve a $1.2 billion spending plan to accelerate the manufacture of hydrogen-powered vehicles. Not only are there problems in dealing with oil producers, but the fossil fuels themselves are in limited supply, so energy security is a pressing issue for Bush.
One of the greatest results of using hydrogen power, of course, will be energy independence for this nation. It's important for our country to understand, I think most Americans do, that we import over half of our crude oil stocks from abroad. And sometimes we import that oil from countries that don't particularly like us. Puts us at it jeopardizes our national security to be dependent on sources of energy from countries that don't care for America, what we stand for, what we love.
Many companies have developed various types of hydrogen-powered vehicles, some of them hybrids, also using other fuels. In the United States, this vehicle produced positive results in a test drive across the country. An American company is building the buses, which will soon be seen on Iceland streets, although they'll run on hydrogen alone. But not everyone approves of such production. Tapping geothermal reserves seems fine, but what of hydroelectricity? Icelandic environmentalists fear that river systems could be downgraded to produce cheap electricity and then hydrogen. Outside Iceland, some governments are considering using nuclear power. It's a difficult issue for environmental activists. Hydrogen fuel's waste product is only water, so global warming could be reduced, but producing the gas in the first place could cause problems.
On the whole, yes, we need to tackle the climate change problem. If we were to exchange gasoline, diesel oil with hydrogen, that's fantastic, both for the traffic and for the transport and for the fishery sector. You know, we could, in that sense, become the first non-fuel economy in the world, which is an amazing thought.
Iceland currently imports all of its vehicle and ship fuel. Fishing is particularly important, so ending the industry's reliance on foreign fuel would be beneficial. At the moment, not all the technology exists, but Iceland is leading the way and could prove a useful testing ground whose results could help other, less energy-rich countries.